we want to talk about the MicroPowerManager, which is the an open source CRM solution for off-grid space. So before like really going into it and looking at it, like really just to set the context, I say CRM solution. So who is it for? What's the goal here? So this is a customer solution, like managing customer solution for companies acting in the off-grid space. So these can be mini-grid developers, solar home system distributors, so any kind of off-grid facility, companies doing business in off-grid facilities. So why would you want a CRM if you work on such a space? Well, there's multiple reasons for that. First of all, depending on the size of the business, like for smaller businesses, you can just probably get away with managing all your sales and assets like quite manually using, for example, some sheets, some tooling that you would want to use. And get a good understanding of what your business is doing and how you're doing and how your customers are doing. However, like when scaling, if your company grows, then you might hit certain bottlenecks. The most pressing one is actually transactions. So if you want to enable your customers to do, for example, mobile money transactions, not rely on cash payments, but also more advanced things like a ticketing system, a better like statistical overview, like performance dashboards of how your business are performing, like you're gonna hit like a wall at some point. So this is normally when companies start looking into CRM solutions that are out there. And there are many commercial products out there that do exactly this for you, where you can manage your assets, you can manage your customers and transactions, etc., etc. However, there isn't really, except for MicroPowerManager, an open source one of that. So that's kind of where I'm also calling it NPM. We sometimes call it MicroPowerManager or NPM, which is the short of it. This is where NPM is like positioned to say, okay, here we have like an open source CRM system, which you can either use and host at your own infrastructure. You can run it yourself, keep control of your own data. Everything will run on your servers, on your infrastructure, and the data sits with you. There's also a small SaaS model around it, where basically EnAccess has a hosted version of that, which for a small fee that basically just covers our infrastructure cost, you can also go ahead and use that. You can also use that to get started, and then maybe later move to an instance that you run yourself. And the good point here is really that because it's open source, we each benefit from each other's usage of the product. Like if we're making it better by adding like new features, for example, not only the one company using it, but basically everyone using it will benefit from feature additions, like bug fixes, etc., etc. Yeah, so that's the quick introduction of what NPM is, why it exists, and yeah. So now let's start to have a look at how NPM looks like. So what you see right here is basically the landing page, the documentation page of NPM. A quick introduction here, just basically giving a bit more how things look like. A summary of what I just said, for like if you want to read this up on your own, that is the place to have a look. And then there's basically two ways you can first interact with it. Like you can either go to the documentation directly and have a look at the documentation. This is more of a read through by yourself, so I'm not going to go through all over this. What you can also do is just go ahead and play with the demo version of NPM. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'll click on this button and share the correct tab instead. Okay. So what this is basically hosted version of NPM, where we have populated some demo data. So this data is generated. So not all of it will make like in terms of like numbers, like for example, transactions amounts are just randomly generated. So the numbers itself might not make total sense, but just for you to get like a look and feel of how NPM looks like. So when you first click on the demo link, you basically end up to this form where some, again, auto-generated password and username is pre-filled for you. You can use that to log in. And yeah, so this is how NPM looks like. Let me refresh real quick. So yeah, this is basically what you see. So you start with a quick dashboard overview where you can get like a high-level overview of what your like business is doing. So how many mini-grid clusters you have, how many customers, how many meters, how many transactions, revenue, some breakdowns. Yeah. So in the demo data set, we have two mini-grid clusters. We can zoom in on one of them. In this example, we have like 3 mini-grids. So now let's look into one of the mini-grids. And here you see, for example, again, randomly generated, right? But here you can see, for example, where the meters are, what the meters device IDs are, where the actual mini-grid is, et cetera, et cetera. And then some statistics, again, now on a mini-grid level, rather than on a like company overview level. Yeah, and some revenue breakdowns, like by connection type, so for households, for example, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so this is the first kind of overview, what you see here. And so NPM kind of has two core pieces of the application. One is the front end. This is what we're looking at right now. So this would be used by like operators, right? Like if you want to understand like how your business is performing, if you want to look at your customers, et cetera, et cetera. However, there's a part that is more on the backend side of things that's working in the backend. So, for example, when you connect your NPM account to certain mobile money providers or communication providers or meter providers, meter manufacturers, I shall say. So this is a little bit hidden from the average user. We're going to have a quick look at this, but basically there isn't much to see. This is all happening like in the back end of NPM. So I'm just going to go over and have a quick look at what NPM can do. So starting on the left, you see like the UI is pretty standard, right? You have a sidebar with some other objects you can look at and some things to interact with. So let's start off first by looking at customers, right? So here you can get some information on the customers, you can look at the customers, and you get a quick understanding of who your customers are, get an overview. For example, in this case, you can see the last transaction for this users, what amount was paid, an overview, a monthly overview, information about the user itself, and yeah, the way it's intended to be used is you can use that to kind of slice and dice. So here we look at things from a customer perspective. We can also look at a transaction perspective. So if you want to know what was this transaction about, see some information. What was the payment here? Which device was it used for? Who was the provider? Here we have an agent transactions. That means a cash collection, a cash payment through an agent. Yeah, so this is what you can see here. So now I say off-grid. So we have different devices that you can basically manage. So the first, and to give also some background, like NPM originally was developed with like mini grids in mind. However, this was later then expanded to really cover the entire off-grid ecosystem. So it can have, and you can also mix this. So you can manage meters for a mini grid setup. You can also manage solar home systems or appliances. For example, I don't know, TVs, fridges and freezers, fans, all kind of appliances that you sell alongside electricity, most of the time, like with probably deferred payment schemes. So now let's look at how meters look like. So here we're looking at things from meter. Let's say we want to have a look at this example meter, so we can again see who's the owner, some information about the meter, transactions. So in this case, if the meter is like connected, if it's like a smart meter, if this is like internet connected and provides meter reading to the backend of the manufacturer, we would also fetch these readings. In the demo setup, we don't have any, but if you have, I don't know, for example, Spark meters and you're connected to Spark backend, then you could fetch the meter readings from here. Solar home systems look similar. Not much to be seen here. And appliances is kind of similar, the same, like what appliances are you currently able to sell to your customers? In the example, we only have solar home systems, but these could be, as I said, like fridges, TVs, fans, whatever, could appear here. So these you can configure on your business. You click like the new plus button here and configure new appliances that you sell. Another important aspect of MPM is agents. So we have already briefly seen in the transactions, let me go back to transactions 1 second. I've seen you can have agent transactions. So to do that, you basically need to have agents. So agents are registered and managed here. So you can have a certain agent that is assigned to a certain village or mini grid. And we can look at the agents and see, basically see their balance status, see how much balance they have, see the history of them, like if they are selling certain appliances, for example. And can I go here? Yeah,